Hi everybody, how are you? This is Professor Kyunghee Pyun. I am recording Unit 2 and in continuation I'm going to talk about Song and Yuan Dynasty today. After Tang Dynasty, China is going to go through this period called 5 dynasties, 10 kingdoms. So usually they just call it 5 dynasties. What that means is in the north, there are 5 major dynasties that changed hands. So there was Xia, there was Liao, and Qin. They moved in, but eventually this political confusion was reunited by Song Dynasty in around 960. So Song Dynasty is here. And during Northern Song Dynasty, earlier part of Song Dynasty, the capital was Kaifeng. Now you probably learned this migration of capitals. So first they had a capital in Kaifeng, and then they are going to be pressured to the southern part of China, and the capital is going to be Hangzhou along the Yangtze River. And the reason they were pushed down to southern part is because you can see here Jin Dynasty. Their territory was farther north in Manchuria, but they crossed the Great Wall, right? And then they moved over into the main area along the Yellow River, so that Song Dynasty moved their capital. So this move of the capital was quite humiliating. What does that mean? You lost the territory, so now your territory is reduced. And then in the northern border, you have Jin Dynasty. The ruling class of Jin Dynasty are nomads from Manchuria. So eventually, Song Dynasty, Southern Song, will disappear in 1297 when this territory was conquered by Mongols, and it's going to be called Yuan Dynasty. We're going to see in a moment. So here, this is our main topic. Shifting south in search of Chinese identity. It was time of crisis. So they moved to the south, and they still want to find their own identity, which is different from the nomadic tribes. So Kaifeng and Hangzhou, if you can, I want you to remember the capitals. Politically unstable, but again, when things are unstable in the kingdom or in the empire, intellectuals cannot find the great career opportunities at the court. So what do? They usually stay home, just like we did during the pandemic. You don't go outside, you just stay home because it's dangerous. They may be killed by the invaders. And then they focus on their intellectual cultivation, like writing poems or write a history book or diaries or write letters to friends. And for artistic circle, it was an important period for a new type of art called monumental landscape. So it's very important word. I want you to remember this monumental landscape. So this map shows the shifting patterns of population density. So population density is from, let's say, during the Tang Dynasty, you can see the darkest area are main cities, and where are they mostly positioned? Usually along the Yellow River, if you can read the map. But in 1102, like during the Song Dynasty, right after Song moved their capital to Hangzhou, you can see that suddenly Hangzhou, Shanghai area population is really dense, and then in the northern part you don't have many people. So this is the historical moment in which on old prestigious Chinese families moved to the Hangzhou area, like Hangzhou, Shanghai area. And from the southern Song Dynasty all the way to Ming and Qing Dynasty, the southern China is going to become birthplace of major intellectual movements. So in art, also, we are going to talk about the Southern style landscape painting. And one thing I want you to remember is geography is quite different. So if you go to along the Yangtze River in the south, there are a lot of lakes. And overall, the climate is milder than the northern part along the Yellow River. and a lot of lakeside lands are surrounded by the mist. So that is what you are going to observe in landscape painting. And also mountains are not high and pointy. There are mountains, but most mountains are rather wet and sort of how can I say, round, in a way, like round mounds. It's not that pointy, I would say, not like a needle-like. So there is also contrast in scenery that I want you to remember. So you can read this. So the Yellow River regions were nearly as dominant in 742 as they had been in 82. So that's what we studied so far in Chinese art. Like people were living mainly along the Yellow River. But by Song times, something much closer to the modern distribution had already been attained, with a large share of the population living in the Yangtze River Valley and further south. So if you compare southern Song and 20th century, you can see that people are living in a populated cities along the Yangtze River here, like a coast too. Of course, modern cities are more expanded, as you can see, like the Guangzhou area, right, Shanghai area. So that shift took place in southern Song. So this one is a painting, part of the painting on a sunny spring day in the capital of Kaifeng during the Song Dynasty. So they were using the river. So as you can see that pavilion was built over the river, right? And then people are rowing their boats. So they are using the canal for main transportations. Or during the Song Dynasty, they built a sophisticated boat house. So you can live on top of the boat, and pretty large. So the commercial revolution depended on a well-developed transportation system. They are cargo boats, as you can see here, a detail from Song period painting on silk, and they carried goods on the extensive river and canal network. And connecting between water transport, water-powered mills, like the mills is right here, you can see the mills, and the production as depicted in this anonymous early Song painting on silk, and this is part of that breezy spring day in the festival of Qingming. And in order to have commercial activities, what do you need? Currency, right? You cannot already carry your own goods in order to barter with others. So this is a paper money. It's not that large, but it is something that you can fold like a half of your letter size. So people carrying the piece of paper money, and those were issued in Hangzhou during Southern Song period. And this is also a reliable system. Not anybody can imitate this paper money issued by the government. Now, another silk hand scroll. You can see you read the story from right to the left, like here. It's anonymous painting. So it shows silk production. So you can see the green leaves. These are mulberry trees. And then, so the silkworms eat mulberry trees and they grow. And then what happens? After a week or two, they create the cocoons. So once the caterpillar goes into the cocoons, then you boil them on hot water so that you kill the worm. You don't need the caterpillar part. And then you only save the cocoons. These are actually silk filaments. You collect them, and then eventually it continues. So if you go further to here, then you are going to see people who create a yarn out of cocoons, and then you dry them, and then you dye yarns, and then you can weave them for different textiles, or you weave them in natural silk color and then dye them, and there are a lot of choices. These are the silkworms, and then they are fed on the mulberry trees.